The United States placed Nigeria and 6 other countries on the special watch lists of states that had engaged in or tolerated the severe violation of religious freedom. The U.S. State Department also says Boko Haram and some other groups are entities of particular concern. The report cited the continued detention of the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife, Zinat. It said, quote, "The Nigerian government at the national and state levels continue to tolerate violence and discrimination on the basis of religion or belief and suppress the freedom to manifest religion or belief," end quote. It says, despite the government's claims of progress in defeating Boko Haram and ISIS, the terrorists continue to perpetrate attacks against civilians and the military throughout the year. Well, joining us now is a security expert, Mandu Obot. Thank you so much for joining us, and compliments of the season.
Same here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay, a very serious issue here. The U.S. Listing Nigerians among 6 other countries to saying that under that special watch list. First of all, let me ask you, what do you make of this report?
Okay, they have a position to play, so they have made their declaration. But now there are things in this country that we should view differently. There's a place for diplomacy and there's a place for military. Now, this falls under the bit for diplomacy. Okay. The country needs to explain exactly what's going on. Right now, we have 36 states, and you single out a particular event and you use that to blacklist a whole country. As we sit today, what is the government's response? Up till now, there has been no official commentary on this issue. We need to explain.
We've seen the federal Minister of Information come out to say that these are allegations and that they're going to be watching what the U.S. will do after now. But of course,
so that the
U.S. is basing their reports on...
We need to explain exactly what we are doing and what's happening around the country. As we sit today, what was the reason for El-Zakzaky being kept for this long?
If you consider El-Zakzaky's case, yes, that was cited in that report, yes, the federal government and state governments, the Kaduna state government, have over time, complained about the processions of the IMN, so saying that it was disturbing public order.
So they need to communicate to the U.S.
Detained.
So right now they need to communicate officially to the U.S. because no religious group will stage a protest and do a procession in New York. If you are a group and you need to do a procession, you need to go on a road walk, you should apply to the police. Explain to them exactly what you're doing and what is going to entail, and not shut down a city. So now, as we're sitting down here, we sit down in a situation where the US will come out and then blacklist our country, and there are a lot of things that this will affect. For instance, we cannot sit down and say that the entire nation is at war. We cannot sit down and say that the entire nation, there is no official rule, official law, official enactment from any of the houses taking sides with any religion against the other. So it should be defined properly. What is the position of the government? And is it reactionary to a particular activity of a particular sect or a particular religion on a specific incident or in a specific circumstance? In this country right now, you are a Muslim, you are an atheist, you are a Christian, there is freedom of worship all across the country. There is no state that has placed an embargo on any particular religion and say this religion will not operate here. So for us, there is a place for diplomacy. Our High Commission out there, National Orientation Agency, what exactly happened in these particular cases cited? An official declaration should be made such that they will understand exactly why, if it was for security concerns for the country, it should be spelled out so that they will understand that a lot of other people who are carrying out their free religious activities are not being hindered.
But if you look at this report by the U.S., you would consider that should the U.S. be able to interfere with our Nigeria's internal politics, or the way the government has decided to safeguard its people? Should the U.S. be interfering and blacklisting or saying that Nigeria is part of those who are violating religious freedom?
So that's why I said for me as a security expert, the word interference is deep and should not be brought into this discourse. Interference between countries involves occupation, involves an invasion. So I would say, instead of interference, I will use the word meddling into activities going on in our own country. But we owe a duty, even to us citizens, to explain and say, is it that they are not seeing us properly? This is exactly what's going on. We as citizens, are we even seeing it properly? If we are even seeing the country properly, why would a community rise up and go and attack another community, and in the morning, we don't have any explanation, we don't have any investigation that actually reveals exactly the root cause of that situation, and everybody just goes to sleep and say 15 people were killed? Outside this country, it won't be looked at like that way. Because outside this country, you hear that one soldier or one person was killed in Palestine and so on. So life is that valuable outside. But over here, we're used to hearing that 30 people were killed overnight in an insurgent or whatever attack in a community, and then that ends there. By the next 3 hours, there's a different news casted. No investigation, no root cause analysis, no arrest, nothing that has been done except relief measures on the communities that were affected, and we wait for another community to be attacked. But all the same, there are things that you place on the doorstep of government, and there are things that you place at the individuals that make up the country. So I'll give you an instance. You are a state governor or you're a president, and you wake up in the morning and hear that insurgents or a particular community had a clash with another community and all of that, so your country is now blacklisted.
So what are the implications for this now? What do you think will be the implications?
So the implications are far-reaching. For instance, what will the international community look at our citizens as outside this country? Will there be country profiling for even our children that are schooling outside, and even tourists? How about foreign direct investments into the country? If we are declared an unsafe place, there are companies and organizations that have empathy for certain specific models in a country. So if you are said that you are not positively disposed to people's freedom, then the tendency is that they might not invest in your country, and they might not give you support. Now, if US takes up this position, in the next few months, we need to buy firearms, we need to buy equipment from them. Are they going to be willing to grant us such? So there's a need to explain and clear the issues. There should be top-level engagement at this point to let them understand that, okay, there was a security situation. At the time this thing started, we had Boko Haram bombing bus stations, bombing parks, bombing communities, and so on. So at that point, everything that should look like a hazard needed to be clamped down. But however, we've come out of the woods, and these persons have been released back to their families. This is not the time we should be blacklisted.
Mandobot, security expert, thank you so much for your thoughts on this.
Thank you for inviting me.
And compliments of the
I
season.
appreciate you. Merry Christmas.